Good evening and welcome to our nightly telecast of Just the News, where we put together the most important stories of the day, line it up old school, which is your national stories, your international stories, your business and your sports. So you have everything you need in just 10 minutes. Let's get straight to it. All of this is real news. There are no April Fool's Day jokes in this at all. This is our news for today. Voting in the second phase of the state elections in Assam and West Bengal concluded today. Voting in West Bengal took place in 30 seats, including Nandigram, which is a key seat right now, where Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is contesting BJP candidate and former TMC leader Suvendu Adhikari. Now, voting was also taking place in 39 seats and 13 districts in Assam. Up till about 5:45 this evening, West Bengal recorded a voter turnout of 80.43%. and Assam had a voter turnout of 73.3%. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is campaigning in West Bengal, responded to Mamata Banerjee saying the BJP is not seasonal in its religious beliefs after she accused him of violating the Election Commission poll conduct in his recent trip in Bangladesh during the elections. The Prime Minister, who was campaigning at Joynagar in Bengal today, said, and I quote, "Didi did not like me praying at the Ma Kali temple in Bangladesh. We are not seasonal in our religious belief. We always take pride in our faith and tradition." End quote. The TMC had called the Prime Minister's visit to Bangladesh, where he prayed at the iconic Kali temple and addressed members of the Matua community, as unethical and a violation of the Model Code of Conduct. The Matuas are a Hindu community that have a considerable influence in Bengal because a large number of them, although originated from Bangladesh, have migrated to West Bengal over the last 70 years at various points in history. The TMC accused the Prime Minister of attempting to influence these voters back in West Bengal during his trip in Bangladesh. The Prime Minister has responded today. Meanwhile, Mamata Banerjee was confined to her polling booth in Nandigram for more than 2 hours and had to be rescued today by the Central Paramilitary Forces during an extremely tense face-off between BJP and TMC supporters outside of the booth. She reportedly dialed the governor, Jagdeep Dhankar, saying that there was a complete breakdown of law and order. Soon after, the governor tweeted that issues flagged by Mamata Banerjee a while ago on the phone have been imparted to the concerned. End tweet. The Election Commission has asked for a report on the matter from the local administration. In Tamil Nadu, the Election Commission has on Thursday banned DMK's A. Raja from campaigning for the next 48 hours anywhere in poll-bound Tamil Nadu. The Election Commission has made the decision, calling his remarks against Chief Minister E. Palaniswamy as obscene. Now, this is what the Election Commission has said. The statement is that A. Raja's speech is not only derogatory but also obscene and lowers the dignity of motherhood of women, which is a serious violation of the poll code. Now, according to reports, A. Raja said last week, and I'm quoting, "One can say Stalin is born in the proper way 9 months after a proper marriage and rituals, whereas E. Padi was born like a premature baby and came all of a sudden." End quote. Moving on to other news, late last night, the central government announced a massive cut in interest rates on small savings schemes and post office savings schemes. Almost immediately after that, early this morning, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tweeted saying that this decision has been reversed and she has withdrawn the rate reduction order, saying the order was issued with oversight. In the tweet that Ms. Sitharaman posted this morning, it said, and I quote, "Interest rates of small savings schemes of the Government of India shall continue to be the rates as have existed in the last quarter of 2021, rates which basically are the rates that prevailed in March 2021. Orders issued by oversight shall be withdrawn." End tweet. Now, during the pandemic and the economic slowdown, which has already taken a toll on many small income families, this order received a lot of flack last night by critics of the policy, who said it would hurt middle and low income families and particularly hurt senior citizens who obviously use interest income from their savings to run their homes on a day-to-day basis. There was also a feeling that banks would pick up cues, obviously, from this interest rate reduction and also reduce interest rates on fixed deposits in banks as well. Now, if it had been implemented, this particular order would have been the second reduction of interest rates on these schemes in the last 1 year. The order that has now been withdrawn would have reduced the interest rates on the Public Provident Fund, or the PPF, the National Savings Certificate, the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, which is a particular scheme to save for girl children, and that rate would have gone down from 7.6 to 6.9. Senior Citizen Savings Scheme and the Kisan Vikas Patrika. Of course, there was a lot of criticism on this, but there were a lot of market experts who were also of the opinion that the government changed its mind because it was keeping an eye on the election states that are currently voting, and it didn't want to make such an unpopular decision. On to now some updates on the COVID front. The centre has written to all states and union territories on Thursday asking them to keep all private and public sector COVID vaccination centres open on all days of April, including public holidays and gazetted holidays. Now, this is the third phase of the vaccination that's now available to anyone above the age of 45. And it's really important because according to data quoted by the Indian Express, 90% of the people who have died of COVID in India were above the age of 45. India, in the meantime, recorded a massive surge in COVID cases again, 72,330 cases in the last 24 hours. This is the biggest one-day spike since October. 459 deaths were recorded. Rajasthan has extended its night curfew timings by 1 more hour in the worst affected 8 districts of the state. There was a night curfew imposed earlier in Ajmer, in Jaipur, Jodhpur, Kota, Udaipur, Sagwara and Kushalgarh from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. That curfew now begins at 10 p.m. Besides, markets in urban areas will have to now close at 9 p.m. instead of the earlier 10 p.m. deadline. In Punjab, Chief Minister Amrinder Singh has reviewed the COVID situation in his state and warned of stricter restrictions if the COVID situation doesn't improve in the next 1 week. He has said he will review the situation again on the 8th of April and make a decision accordingly. Now, in spite of the night curfews that have been announced in various districts of Punjab, Punjab reported 2,944 cases and 55 deaths in the last 24 hours. Well, away from COVID, actor-producer Rajnikant, fondly known as Superstar or Talaivar by his fans, has been confirmed with the 51st Dadasaheb Phalke Award this year. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar made the announcement on Twitter. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter to congratulate Rajnikant immediately after, and Rajnikant in response tweeted that he is immensely humbled and honoured to receive the Prime Minister's greetings and the most prestigious Dadasaheb Phalke Award from the government. He then thanked the government for the award. Rajasthan has now become the first state in the country to provide health insurance to all of its residents. The Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot said Rajasthan will now have a scheme in which every family in the state will get insurance worth 5 lakh rupees each year, and people who are registered for this scheme can get assured cashless treatment in hospitals. The registrations for the Rajasthan government cashless treatment for all, which is called the Mukhyamantri Chiranjeevi Swasth Bima Yojana, has begun in the state today. The Chief Minister has called this the biggest healthcare scheme aimed at providing medical relief to all residents of Rajasthan. Days after undergoing a bypass surgery, the President of India, Ramnath Kovind, has said he is recovering well. In a statement he posted on Twitter today, he acknowledged the dedication of the doctors and the caregivers in the hospital and thanked citizens and other leaders from the world for their messages. On the 30th of March, the President underwent a heart surgery that took place at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi after being referred to by the Army's Research and Referral Hospital. Let's take a look at news coming in from the world of business. Now, in the month of March 2021, the GST collections, or the monthly revenue via GST for the central government and state governments, came in at a record 1.23 lakh crore rupees, indicating, according to the government, that the economy is growing and is showing a growth trajectory. March GST receipts were more than 10,000 crore rupees higher than February, which was at 1.13 lakh crore rupees. Now, fundamentally, just to make this simpler, the government has had an internal target of GST collections of at least 1 lakh crore rupees every month. And we've achieved that GST collection target now consecutively for 6 straight months. The government reads this as an indication that businesses are recovering and our economy is on the mend. Also, IBM India has said that 80% of its India employees will work in a hybrid model of office plus work from home even after the pandemic is over. According to IBM India's CEO, a majority of the workers will spend at least 3 days a week, if not all 8 to 10 hours, some fraction of those days in the office. He also said to accommodate these changes, some of IBM's 70 million square feet of office space that it currently occupies in India is likely to be closed. The remaining space will also be reconfigured to facilitate collaboration, as most solitary work will now be done from home. Also, news coming in from the rest of the world right now. The Pakistan government has made a U-turn on its own plans to allow limited imports of sugar, cotton and wheat from India after political backlash internally. The meeting was chaired by Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. After the cabinet meeting, Pakistan's Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmad has said the move to permit imports in India was deferred until Article 370 is not restored in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has said, and I quote, "At some point there was an impression that relations with India are moving towards normalization and trade has opened up. There was a discussion on this and a unanimous opinion among everyone, including the Prime Minister, that this will not be possible to normalize relations with India until India reviews the unilateral steps it had taken on the 5th of August 2019. Pakistan suspended trade and diplomatic ties with India back in 2019 when Jammu and Kashmir was made a union territory. The United Nations Special Envoy to Myanmar has warned on Wednesday that the country faces the possibility of civil war at an unprecedented scale and urged the UN Security Council to consider potentially significant action to reverse the military coup and restore democracy in the country. According to the Associated Press, UN Special Envoy Christine Bergner has said, and I quote, "Failure to prevent further escalation of atrocities will cost the world so much more in the long term than investing now in prevention, especially by Myanmar's neighbors and the wider region." Now, Myanmar's military toppled the country's elected government back on the 1st of February, seized power for 1 year and detained top political figures including leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, reports say that at least 500 people have been killed by the military crackdown against protests demanding a restoration of the democratic government since then. Meanwhile, India has condemned the violence in Myanmar and condoled the loss of life as it urged maximum restraint and called for a release of the detained leaders. The UN Security Council held close consultations on the situation in Myanmar on Wednesday, and after the meeting, India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador T.S. Tirumurti, had tweeted the following points were discussed. He said, "Condemning the violence, condoling the loss of life, urge of maximum restraint, our steadfast commitment to a democratic transition and release of detained leaders, and welcome of ASEAN efforts." France President Emmanuel Macron on Wednesday has announced a nationwide third lockdown wherein all schools will be closed for 3 weeks. This also means movement restrictions that were already in place in Paris and some other regions will now apply across the country for the next 1 month. Macron cautioned his citizens, saying, "If we lose control now, we will lose control if we do not move now." He also emphasized that the vaccine rollout needs to be accelerated as only 12% of the population has been vaccinated so far. France has in the last 24 hours reported 59,038 cases. Let's take a look at news coming in from the world of science and technology. South Korea plans to launch a mobile app this month that will help international travelers show digital proof of vaccination. It's effectively a vaccine passport. The Prime Minister of South Korea said the Green Pass, which will use blockchain technology to prevent counterfeiting, will be launched soon. With this, South Korea plans to revive its cross-border travel, keeping infection risks under control. While China and some other countries have already adopted some forms of this sort of digital passport, many countries have opposed this strongly. Also, an update from sports. At least 30 sports people and support staff of the Sports Authority of India centres have tested positive for COVID. This comes after 741 precautionary tests were conducted at National Centres of Excellence in Patiala and Bengaluru. 26 people from Patiala and 4 from the Bengaluru centre have tested positive. This includes the Indian men's boxing coach C.A. Kutappa and the shot put coach Mohindra Singh Dhillon, among others. Of course, our usual dose of tidbit of happy news before we let you go. A Kolkata-based couple, Kalidas and Kumkum Haldar, have started a free library for children in Potoli. They have transformed a refrigerator into a book cabinet and encouraged children to borrow the books and return it in a month. This refrigerator has been set up in a local grocery store. That's a wrap on the news from me. Remember, a couple of announcements. You will find the source links of all of these stories in the description on our YouTube page, so you can read more about this if any of it is interesting to you. Remember to please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube page. It encourages us to do more of this work as independent journalists. Thank you so much for watching this bulletin. Wear your mask and stay safe, because these numbers are certainly worrying.